Good morning to everybody. Hope so all are fine in this lockdown period. I'm Dr. Bima Zainab, faculty in the Department of Plant Biology and Plant Biotechnology, working in Justice Bashir Ahmed Syed College for Women, Chennai. In this session, I'm going to talk about reproduction in plants, especially on asexual reproduction. So let us move on to the session. So reproduction of the plants. So tips for the teachers. So in your plus 2 book, it will be represented these features, that is the career corner. It is about the list of professions related to the subject. Learning objectives or the brief statements that will describe what the students will be expected to learn by the end of school year, course, unit, lesson or class period. The chapter outline that will explain about the illustration that will give a complete overview of the chapter. The next one, do you know, is a question mark where we have to go on with amazing facts, rhetorical questions to lead students to the biological inquiry. So the first one is about the reproduction. It is one of the essential features of all living things on the earth. It is the reproduction. Reproduction is a vital process for the existence of a species, and it also brings suitable changes through variation in the offsprings for the survival on earth. Plant reproduction is necessary for the survival and perpetuation of plant species. It is important not only for its survival but also for the continuation and existence of living organisms that are directly or indirectly dependent on the plant resources. So here there are some milestones in plant embryology. So it has been started in 1682 by Nehemiah Grew, stamens as the male organ of a flower. So like that, now also the research in plant embryology is continuing on. And here I want to pinpoint Professor P. Maheshwari. He is an Indian scientist and he is an eminent botanist. He has specialized in the field of embryology, morphology and anatomy. In 1950, he has published a book on an introduction to the embryology of angiosperms. So you can have an observation of this table, the findings in plant embryology. Asexual reproduction. The reproduction method which helps to perpetuate its own species without the involvement of gametes is referred to asexual reproduction. Some of the methods of asexual reproduction in lower plants are formation of conidia. This you can find in Aspergillus and in Penicillium. Budding in yeast and also in Hydra. Fragmentation in Spirogyra. Production of gemma in Mercantia, it is in bryophytes. Regeneration in the planaria. Binary fission in bacteria. Clones, you should know what is a clone. The individual formed by asexual methods is morphologically and genetically it will be identical. Method of asexual reproduction in higher plants. Higher plants also reproduce asexually by vegetative reproduction. A form of asexual reproduction in plants in which multicellular structures become detached from the parent and develop into new individuals that are genetically identical to parent. There are some types of vegetative reproduction. One is the natural method and another is the artificial method. In the natural vegetative reproduction, it is a form of asexual reproduction where the bud grows and develops into a new plant. The buds may be formed in organs such as root, stem and leaf. At some stage, the new plant gets detached from the parent plant and starts to develop into a new plant. Some of the organs involved in the vegetative reproduction also serves as the organs of the storage and perenniation. The unit of reproductive structure used in propagation is called reproductive propagules or diaspores. The types of organs helping the vegetative reproduction. We know what are all the important parts of the plant. They are the root, stem and leaf. First we will deal with the reproduction in root. The roots of some plants develop vegetative and adventitious buds on them. Some of the examples are Murraya, Dalbergia and Millingstonia. Some tuberous adventitious roots apart from developing buds also store food. Example are Ipomia batatas and Dahlia. Roots possessing buds become detached from the parent plant and grow into an independent plant under suitable condition. Vegetative reproduction in stem. Here it is by means of rhizome, that is Musa paradisica, then even gingiber, corm in Amaurophallus colocasia, tuber solanum, bulb in Allium cepa, runner in the case of Centella asiatica, even strawberry, stolon, mentha and fragaria, offset pistia, eichhornia, sucker chrysanthemum, bulbils diaspora and agave. The axillary buds from the nodes of the rhizome and eyes of the tuber gives rise to the new plants. A very good example is the Solanum tuberosum, that is the potato. Now we are moving on to the vegetative reproduction in leaf. In some plants, adventitious buds are developed on their leaves. A very good example is Bryophyllum. In Bryophyllum, the leaf is succulent and notched on its margin. Adventitious buds develop at these notches and are called epiphyllous buds. They develop into plants forming a root system and become independent plants when the leaf gets decayed. Scilla is also a bulbous plant and grows in sandy soils. The foliage leaves are long and narrow and epiphyllous buds develop into the tips. The buds develop into new plants when they touch the soil. Now here are some of the picture that is showing the vegetative reproduction. You can see the potato, ginger, agave, Bryophyllum, pistia, onion, colocasia. Then you can see at the end, you can see the runner, that is wild strawberry. Then in the stolon, in the case of fragaria. Then in the chrysanthemum, you can see the sucker mode of vegetative reproduction. Advantages of the natural vegetative reproduction. Only one parent is required for propagation. The new individual plants produced are genetically identical. In some plants, this enables to spread rapidly. Example, Spinifex. Horticulturists and farmers utilize these organs of natural vegetative reproduction for cultivation and to harvest plants in large scale. Disadvantages are new plant produced have no genetic variation. Then if you see the artificial vegetative reproduction, it is also known as artificial propagation. These are, apart from these natural methods of propagation, we find number of methods are used in agriculture and horticulture to propagate plants from their parts. The conventional methods these are the artificial propagation methods that have been used by man for a long time. So types of conventional propagation methods. They are cutting, grafting and layering. Let us see one by one. The first one is the cutting. It is the method of producing a new plant by cutting the plant parts such as the root, stem and leaf from the parent plant. The cut part is placed in a suitable medium for growth. It produces root and grows into a new plant. There are the types: root cutting, malus, stem cutting, hibiscus, leaf cutting, begonia. So you can see in the picture, showing the various types of cuttings. The next one is the grafting. In this, parts of two different plants are joined so they continue to grow as a one plant. Of the two plants, the plant which is in contact with the soil is called the stalk, and the plant used for grafting is called scion. Examples are citrus, mango, etc. There are four types. First is the bud grafting. A T-shaped incision is made in the stalk and the bark is lifted. The scion bud with a little wood is placed in the incision beneath the bark and properly bandaged with a tape. The tongue grafting, a scion and the stalk having the same thickness, is cut obliquely and the scion is fit into the stalk and bound with a tape. Crown grafting, when the stalk is large in size, scions are cut into wedge shape and are inserted on the slits or clefts of the stalk and fixed in position using the graft wax. The last one is the wedge grafting. In this method, a slit is made in the stalk or the bark is cut. A twig of scion is inserted and tightly bound so that the cambium of the two is joined. So can you see the picture of the grafting where all the types are given here? Especially I have shown you what is the scion and rootstock. Next we can move on to the layering. In this method, the stem of the parent plant is allowed to develop roots while still intact. When the root develops, the rooted part is cut and planted to grow as a new plant. Examples are Ixora and Jasminum. Mound layering. This method is applied for the plants having flexible branches. The lower branch with leaves is bent to ground and part of the stem is buried in the soil, and the tip of the branch is exposed above the soil. After the roots emerge from the part of the stem buried in the soil, a cut is made in parent plant so that the buried part grow into a new plant. Air layering. In this method, the stem is girdled at nodal region and hormones are applied to this region which promotes rooting. This portion is covered with a damp or moist soil using a polythene sheet. Roots emerge in these branches after 2 to 4 months. Such branches are removed from the parent plant and grown in a separate pot or ground. So can you see this picture for the layering where you can see the mound layering, air layering where they are using the polythene bags. Now we will move on to the advantages of the conventional methods. The plants produced are genetically uniform. Many plants can be produced quickly by this method. Some plants produce little or no seeds, in others the seeds produced do not germinate. In such cases, plants can be produced in a short period by this method. Some plants can be propagated more economically by vegetative propagation. Example, Solanum tuberosum, that is the potato. Two different plants with desirable characters such as the disease resistant. The disadvantages are use of virus infected plants as parents produce viral infected new plants. Vegetative structures used for propagation are bulky and so they are difficult to handle. The modern methods. Nowadays, technology is being used for propagation to produce a large number of plants in a short period of time. Such methods are said to be modern methods. So first, the totipotency we have to know. The genetic ability of the plant cell to produce the entire plant under suitable conditions. What are the uses of totipotency? This characteristic feature of a cell is utilized in horticulture, forestry and industries to propagate plants. Tissue culture. It is the modern technology, the growth of the plant tissue in special culture medium. Mostly we use Murashik and Skog medium. Under suitable controlled condition, it is known as the tissue culture. Micropropagation, the regeneration of the whole plant from a single cell tissue or small pieces of vegetative structures through tissue culture. So you see in the picture the micropropagation procedure. Now, advantages of these modern methods. Plants with desired characteristics can be multiplied rapidly in short duration. Plant produced or genetically identical tissue culture can be carried out in any season to produce plants. Plants which do not produce viable seeds and seeds that are difficult to germinate can be propagated by tissue culture. Rare and endangered plants can be propagated. Disease-free plants can be produced by meristem culture. Cells can be genetically modified and transformed using tissue culture. The disadvantages are the labor is intensive and requires skilled workers. Sterile condition must be maintained, which adds to the cost. Since the clones are genetically identical, the entire crops is susceptible to new diseases or changes in environment conditions will wipe all the species. Sometimes callus undergoes genetical change which are undesirable for commercial use. The next one is the end of the session. I thank everybody for listening this session. Hope so you understood about the vegetative reproduction in plants.